Let's turn this catch-all closet into a home office. Hey guys, I'm Jared with D.A.D.S. Welcome to the Dumbass Den. All right, guys. So today we're at our editor, my friend MJ's house. So little background on what we're doing here is we're converting a catch-all closet into a home office. She has 2 kids. She lives in a 3-bedroom house, and her son is now old enough to have his own room. But this room was taken up as an office and, kind of like a semi-storage space. It had 2 closets, and one of them obviously is a walk-in. So we got together and we were trying to figure out an idea. This is what we came up with. So we've converted this catch-all closet into a home office. We have a floating desk, floating shelf. We would like to come back in and put another floating shelf, but we'll get into that. And I'm really excited to show you how I did all this, and maybe it'll give you some ideas on what you can do. But come along with me. Let me show you all the little bits and pieces that I did and see what you think. Okay, back in the shop, getting ready for the closet to office conversion. So we're gonna do a floating desk and a pair of floating shelves. So everything we wanna go for that white oak look. So we're gonna do white oak with, I think maybe 1 or 2 pieces of brass trim for like a grommet. So this is the general layout. We got 38.5 inches on one wall, 49.5 inches on the other. This long wall is only going to be 8 inches. It's more to like rest an arm on. And this 38.5 inches is going to be 14 inches. That's where the main screen, main computer screen is going to go. Above that, we're going to do the floating shelves, same dimensions. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a folded miter box for the floating shelves. So I'll make them as 2 pieces instead of angling this over here. And I'll just kind of slide them in place and see if we have to do any scribing to the wall. I have never done this before, so we're going to see how well it goes. So I'm going to start with the track saw, cutting down the main piece of plywood, and then I'll come back and cut out the smaller pieces on the table saw. So come along with me. I'll show you what I'm trying to do, and we'll see how well it goes. But in the closet, using a laser line and a level to put the back supports and the corner supports in for the desk portion. Once those are all mounted, I'm going to go back in and put a template down with hot glue and some pieces of 1/4 inch plywood. And then the final step was to lay out some painter's tape where the shelf was going to go. Use that to mark stud locations and to measure where those stud locations are so I could transfer holes to the shelf bracket. Okay, so I ran over to the house for the install. I used a stair tread template, scribe, whatever, to take the angles of the wall, and it actually showed me how much of a deviation there is in that wall specifically. So I actually have to cut the shelves a little bit more shallow. So instead of 14, they'll be 13 7/8 or 14 1/4, wherever they are now. I'll trim them down a hair, not a big deal. I'll just do that on the table saw. I'll cut those angles in. I went using this 3/4 inch square tubing. I'm going to mount this on the wall with brackets coming straight out. That should be plenty once put into the studs. I held it up to the wall, marked where my stud locations were. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to weld these 8-inch pieces coming outright. These will support the weight of the shelf as long as my welds hold, hopefully. And then for the edge of this one, because it's going to be butted up against the wall, I went and took an exact angle, and I'm going to cut that angle into the end of this piece so that it fits as snugly to the wall as possible, so that I can bolt into the sidewall stud and the studs on this wall, give it as much rigidity as I can for that wall specifically. We're gonna go from there. So okay, first dumbass mistake of the build. I labeled everything so that the top of the desk for the L would have grain that would have been in line. So when I cut it, it would have flowed a little bit better. But even though I labeled it, and even though I looked at it, A was supposed to be the top of the desk, but now A has a bevel on it. And now it is the top of a shelf. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal, because the shelves will be about 6 feet in the air, so we shouldn't see the tops of them other than when we do glamour shots. So it's more concerned with the bottom, the front and the bottom. So I want those to match, and then the grain of the desk to kind of flow as best it can. So luckily I did label this other piece. I'm going to cut the strips out for that, and then just take the matching piece for this piece of wood over here, and we'll just use that for the desktop. So okay, so now that I have my shelf pieces cut and some ribs to go, cut some support ribs, so when I fold this all together, probably just do something like this, just to keep everything from collapsing, but still let me keep that nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is line all these up. I am going to painter's tape them, flip the whole thing over, and then, actually, you know what? I might do this. No, I'm going to tape it this way, I think. Flip the whole thing over, and then put some glue in there. Fold it up and use the tape as the clamp. Should be splendiferous. I have some miters to close up, but I have a burnishing tool that I think will do great for that. And we're just gonna go with it. So I think I'll time lapse you guys for this, because I don't know how long it's gonna take me, but that's the gist of it. It's laying out flat. I'm gonna tape the seams this way, and then I'll do a bunch this way, flip it over, fill it with glue, close it up. So I'm sure you're about to see in that time lapse that first one went okay. The second glue up. Every fucking thing went wrong. Everything. I don't know how it's going to come out. I don't have enough plywood to make another shelf. God, I really hope I can salvage it. I'm beyond pissed off right now. So I am going to call it a night. And I've already been out here 45 minutes longer than I meant to be tonight. I'm going to go put my kids to bed. Pick it up tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next morning. I've taken the tape off these glue ups and opened them up, and they're atrocious. I'm not happy with it at all. But I calmed down a little bit from last night, and I think I can salvage these pretty well, actually. So what my plan is, because this was the one I had all the problems with. It was just very open. The glue came out, wasn't great. The first one was better, but not great. I'm not happy with it. I didn't take my time with it. I tried to do it with the tape. I probably should have used some biscuits. Like the bottom doesn't look terrible. Like I probably could have burnished that over a little bit more. And I'll see as I sand these, but it's too much glue came out. It was just, I messed it up. It happens. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So what I am going to do is I'm going to sand these pretty aggressively flush down the faces so we can kind of get rid of this seam. And then I have 2-inch edge banding. I have a whole roll. I'm going to use the edge banding. And this edge banding is iron-on edge banding. I have 2-inch thick. So we have a little bit of play. It's a little thinner than I thought, but we've got plenty of play. This will cover, and then it shouldn't leave much of a lip once it's ironed down, and then obviously a light sand to clean up the edges. So I think it'll blend in nicely, and we're gonna go with that. This shit happens, and I know that, and I still enjoy all this. It's just, you get really frustrated when things don't go right and you thought they were going to, or they felt good, because like some of these miters were pretty tight, but I definitely could have taken it, I could have done this a little bit slower. I was rushing in the middle of the night, not the middle of the night, but 9:15, 9:30, had to rush in to get the kids to bed. So a little bit of time to think about it, and we're going to fix it up. Okay, so I have the 2 pieces of the desk now. I'm back from my friend's house. I have the template. I've just edge banded the front of each section. I still have to cut the long, thin section, but I want to trim this up and see if I have as hard of a time with the edge banding on this that I did on the shelves. So let's see. I kind of left a freaking mess everywhere. So let's see if this comes off cleanly or if I have a disaster on my hands. I don't know how well this will go. Oh, this one's actually going smoothly. Wow. That one worked. Oh, a little bit on the end. Oh man, this was so much harder last night. Thank God I needed this. I've been getting so pissed off with this project. Oh yeah, that is satisfying. Oh, beautiful. It's like a Picasso. Oh. See if I can bring you in to see that. It came in pretty nice. Okay, so this is where I ended up for the night. Everything is cut and laid out. I'm pretty happy with the layout and everything. I mean, there's some spots that I'd like to keep clean, and I really want to make sure that when I glue this up, I keep this seam tight. But it's 11:30 Friday night. Didn't get much sleep last night. I got to be up at 6, and it's being pretty busy tomorrow. So I want to be able to do this fresh, not frustrated. So I'm gonna come back in the morning and work on this. But really happy with how it's looking. The edge banding looks nice, and I think once this is sanded up with some lacquer on it, it'll look slick. No problem, baby. Okay, so we got the desk here. We got the glue up pretty good. I wiped off as much glue as I can. I'm definitely gonna have to come back and sand, but this is pretty in line. This back corner had a little bit of a gap, so I was trying to use, I couldn't get a clamp in there. And I don't have those miter clamps, which I wish I did. But the tape, I think, pulled it in fine. We got this gap cleaned up pretty well. Otherwise, I'll go back in with a scraper and just clean that up. But I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. And everything's looking really good. I got it pretty tight. The grain didn't match up as well as I wanted, but I think it still looks good. I'm very happy with the whole thing. So getting ready. This will be ready to unclamp in a few hours, and then we can try and install this. The floating shelves are taking me a little bit longer than I expected, but it is what it is. So all right, so the desktop is very close to being finished. Ended up not having to scribe anything. It's gonna fit pretty well in there, but there is up to a 1/2 inch gap along the walls. So what we're gonna do is almost put like a backsplash. We're gonna take another inch and 3/4 piece of white oak and run it along the top edge. Right now, I'm just putting some finish on this before I bring it back over to lay this in place, and then we'll do the trim afterwards. All I'm using is some spray lacquer. I like spray lacquer. I got my kind of finishing that I liked from Steve Ramsey over at Woodworking for Mere Mortals. So I'll do anywhere from 2 to 5 coats of spray lacquer, let that dry, buff it with crumpled brown paper, and then I'll do a coat of finishing paste wax. Finishing wax, paste wax, buff that on, let it sit for 10 minutes, buff it off, and everything seems to come out really nice. I really like it, so I'm just gonna come back through and do another coat. This is try and overlap it. Lacquer is nice because it's self-wetting, so if you have a little bit of unevenness, a lot of the times you won't even notice. You just kind of go lightly. Okay, so now I'm going to come back with my, this is Varathane paste finishing wax, natural color. I don't know if it's all natural, but yeah, so I'll just put a pretty liberal coat of this on, and then I use like the box of rags type shop towels. Leave it on, let it dry for 10-15 minutes, and then go back. I've been nursing this container on different projects for probably 3 years. Like I could probably go through more, but I don't go through like a massive amount of that. A little, and I'm pretty liberal with it, but a little goes a long way. Get a couple paper shop towels out here. Lint free. You're probably better off with like a cotton rag, but this is what I've always used. So this should be actually more than enough than I need. So I'm just gonna give this a coating. And if it looks a little clumpy in some spots, that's fine, because you'll buff it off later. I mean, That's what I've done on a bunch of different projects. I did this on a live edge coffee table, and I mean, it's lasted a few years with my kid coloring on it and everything. So, and this stuff leaves it pretty easy to adjust any finishes as you need to. So, make sure I.
Okay, so here we're welding up the the floating shelf supports for this project. Everything went pretty smoothly. Drilled the holes in so that we can mount it to the studs on the new Harbor Freight welding table. So I just did a review on this. So if you haven't had a chance, please go check out that video. But it was nice to have this done, and they were nice and strong. Only a little bit of bowing, nothing crazy. So ready for install.
All right, guys. So it took some finagling, a lot of back and forth with the saw and trying to make sure we fit to the walls. But shelves are up, desk is in, nice little trim on the around the edges. Did the best I could. I have never done this before. It was a fun project, very stressful, but in a good way. My friend is very happy to be able to turn this into a little office now, and I'm excited to see how it is once it's fully decorated. So. All right, so now that you've seen where we are and how we've gotten to this point, this is the finished product. So we have our oak plywood floating shelves held on with our homemade brackets, homemade steel brackets with my wonderful welding skills. And the same for the floating shelf. I mean, I did get my buddy to make the brackets for this one because it was going to be holding a little bit more weight. But everything finished up nicely. You kind of see how we were able to hold everything in place, and not everything is probably up to professional standards, but it came out great. Everybody's really happy, and this is a great space for MJ now to come in and get some work done and be able to continue her schooling, continue working on our dad's videos. It's going to be a great addition, I think, for her family, and give them some of their space and freedom back for everybody. So I'm really happy with how this came out. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. All right? So, see you soon.